You know, some mornings start so quiet you'd never guess the storm that's coming. I was out on my beat-up fishing boat, salty dawn at the crack of dawn, hauling in a net full of cod, the kind of work that leaves your hands raw and your back screaming, but man, it feels honest. The fog was thick, wrapping my little dock in Crescent Cove like a blanket, the kind of coastal haze that makes you feel like you're the only soul awake for miles until I heard those sharp, expensive heels clicking on my dock, followed by a voice that could curdle milk. "You there? Drop that filthy net and face me. We need to talk about your eviction from this property." I set the net down real careful, making sure no fish slipped back into the Pacific, and turned to see what looked like a corporate retreat got lost on its way to a yacht club. 6 people in tailored suits, standing on my dock, looking at me like I just crawled out of the sewer. Leading the pack was Evelyn Hart, mid-50s, hair so blonde it practically glowed, in a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than my boat. She was clutching a leather folder like it was her lifeline, her nails perfect, blood dread-tapping it like she was counting down to my doom. "Can I help you?" I asked, wiping my hands on my salt-crusted jeans, trying to keep it cool even though my gut was already knotting up. The sun was just breaking over the horizon, painting my new place $10 million worth of glass and steel perched on a cliff like it was daring gravity to take a swing in this warm, golden light. The view stretched from Crescent Cove's rocky shore all the way to the shipping lanes, and I'd only been here 3 days, still tripping over moving boxes in the hallway. Evelyn let out this laugh, sharp and mean, like she practiced it. "Help us? You can help by packing up that rust bucket boat and whatever else you've dragged onto this sacred property and getting out. This house belongs to the Cove Crest community, not some drifter. I'm Jack Sullivan, by the way born in Portland, half Irish, half Vietnamese, not that it should matter, but apparently it did to Evelyn. I'd bought this place fair and square, closed the deal 2 weeks ago, but to her, I was just a guy in work boots with a fishing boat that looked like it had seen better days. "I'm not squatting," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I own this place. Moved in over the weekend." The group behind her 3 guys in matching gray suits, a younger woman filming me on her phone, and some older dude checking his watch like he was late for a golf game burst out laughing, like I just told the world's worst joke. Evelyn practically had to grab one of her cronies to keep from falling over. "Own it. This is the Langley estate, worth millions. You expect us to believe you bought it." I didn't owe them an explanation, but I was starting to get why they were here. The house used to belong to Tom Langley, an old friend who'd passed 6 months back in what they called a boating accident. I'd known Tom for years, hired me for a salvage job off the Oregon coast, chasing a sunken ship from the 1800s. We'd spent months at sea, him with his stories, me with my gear, and we'd found it, a wreck worth millions. He'd split the profits with me, said I earned it, but more than that, he'd taught me how to read people like Evelyn folks who think power's a blank check to bully anyone they don't like. "I don't care what you believe," I told her, turning back to my fish, "but I need to get these on ice, so unless you've got a warrant, you're on my property, and I'd like you to leave." The silence was golden until Evelyn's voice came back, colder than the Pacific in January. "Oh, we got authority. This is a community heritage agreement signed by Tom Langley himself, promising this estate to the Cove Crest Trust after his death." She waved a fancy document like it was the Constitution. I glanced at it, then back at her. "Tom never signed that. I knew him. He'd have told me." Her eyes narrowed, taking in my faded jacket, my calloused hands. "And how would you know what Tom Langley signed? Were you his deckhand or something?" The way she said it, like I was dirt under her shoe, made my blood simmer, but I kept it together. "He was my friend," I said. "And he warned me about you, Evelyn Hart, president of the Cove Crest HOA, who's been running this place like her personal fiefdom for years." That hit a nerve. Her face twitched, but she recovered fast. "He promised this house to the community To be a museum, a landmark for people of quality. Not some fisherman who thinks he can waltz in here. The woman with the phone was still recording, which was fine by me. I wanted this on tape. Quality, huh? And I'm not it. I asked, stepping closer, letting her see I wasn't backing down. You called the cops yet? Because I've got the deed, the title, everything, and I'm happy to show them. Her smirk faltered, but before she could answer, 2 police officers walked onto the dock SGT. Karen Brooks, a no-nonsense woman who looked like she'd seen it all, and a younger guy who seemed more curious than anything. Evelyn practically threw herself at them. Officers, thank God. This man's illegally occupying the Langley estate, making ridiculous claims about ownership. I handed Sergeant Brooks the laminated papers for my boat storage deed, title, proof of funds, all legit. She scanned them, her face unreadable, while Evelyn kept ranting. Those are fake. He printed them in his boat shack. Brooks didn't even look at her. These check out. County seal, filing numbers, dated 2 weeks ago. Mr. Sullivan, you purchased this property? Yes, ma'am, I said. Cash sale, closed clean. Evelyn's face went from red to a shade I'd call volcanic. This is absurd. Tom promise may mean the community. Brooks raised an eyebrow. Got that promise in writing, ma'am? Evelyn sputtered, and I knew I had her. No charges, I said when the younger cop asked if I wanted to press any. Just get them off my dock. Evelyn stormed off, hissing, This isn't over, Sullivan. I'll find out how you pulled this off, and you'll regret it. As her fancy cars peeled out, Sergeant Brooks lingered. Watch yourself, Jack. Evelyn Hart's got money, connections, and a vindictive streak. She's trouble. I nodded, feeling the weight of it. I've dealt with trouble before. She gave me a look like she knew there was more to me than fish and salt. Military? She asked. Navy, 10 years, I said. She handed me her card. Call me if she pulls anything. My gut says she will. She wasn't wrong. The next morning, I got a visit from a guy claiming to be a marina inspector, some slick type named Carl Voss, flashing a badge that looked like he'd bought it off eBay. Your boat's in violation, he said, rattling off a list of legal mooring, unsafe vessel, you name it. 12 citations, $500 a day each. I smiled, pulling out my phone to record. Funny thing, Carl. There's no Crescent Cove Marina Authority in that badge. The state seals the wrong shade of blue. Also, you look an awful lot like the guy in Evelyn's family photos, her cousin, maybe? His face went ghost white, and when I mentioned calling Sergeant Brooks, he bolted back to his boat so fast he nearly tripped over his own clipboard. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a house. Tom had warned me about Evelyn, how she'd driven out neighbors with trumped-up fines, how she turned the HOA into her personal weapon. But it went deeper. In his study, I found a safe, combination set to the day we'd found that wreck together. Inside were files, photos of Tom's boat, hull tampered with before his accident, bank records showing payments from Evelyn to a guy named Victor Kane, and a contract for a luxury condo project on 4 Cliffside lots, including mine, dated before Tom's death. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just harassment. This was murder. I was still processing when Evelyn came back, this time with half the neighborhood people on my lawn, her with a megaphone painting me as the guy ruining their perfect little community. He's turning this estate into a fish factory, she shouted, and some folks nodded, buying her act. But I wasn't alone anymore. Maria Delgado, a retired ATF agent who lived down the road, pushed through the crowd. Jack's got a right to his boat, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. And Evelyn, why don't you tell us about the Wilsons, fine until they lost their home? Or the Kims, who left after you made their lives hell? The crowd stirred, whispers spreading. I held on my phone. I've got Tom's files, every fine, every letter, every dirty trick, and a contract showing Evelyn planned to bulldoze this place for condos before Tom died. That shut her up, but not for long. She doubled down, screaming about property values, but the crowd was fracturing. People started sharing stories fines for kids' bikes, citations for unapproved paint colors. Maria stepped up again. HOA records are public under state law. Evelyn. Why have you been hiding them? Evelyn stormed off, but not before hissing, "You're done, Sullivan." I knew she meant it. That night, Maria and I hatched a plan. Tom's files mentioned Victor Kane, a fixer with a rap sheet tied to accidents up and down the coast. Evelyn was meeting him on his yacht, high stakes in international waters, thinking they were untouchable. They didn't know Salty Dawn wasn't just a fishing boat she had sonar, mics, even a drone that looked like a damn seagull, but could record audio a mile away. We sailed out under cover of fog, my boat's rusty disguise hiding gear that could make a spy blush. Maria watched the screens as I aimed a laser mic at Kane's yacht. Evelyn's voice came through, clear as day. "You said Tom's place would be empty. Now this Sullivan's got files Tom's files." Kane's growl cut in. "Then we handle him like we handled Tom. Accidents happen." Maria gripped my arm. "That's conspiracy to murder." But then Kane said something that stopped my heart. "My guys are at his house now. Electrical fire. Whole place will be gone by dawn." I floored Salty Dawn, her hidden engines roaring to life, hitting 35 knots through the swells. Maria called the Coast Guard while I dialed an Old Navy buddy, Mike Torres, who owed me for finding his dad's lost boat. "Mike, my house now. Arsonists. Bring your crew." His SEAL team was there in 5 minutes. We hit the dock at full speed, the smell of gasoline thick in the air. 2 guys in black were dousing my living room, too focused to hear us. Maria drew her old service pistol. "ATF freeze." One reached for a lighter. I took him down with a chokehold before he could blink. The other tried to run, but Maria dropped him with a move so smooth it was almost art. Mike's team swarmed in, clearing the house, finding 2 more guys rigging explosives to collapse the whole damn cliff. The cops arrived, then the feds, and by morning, the truth was spilling out. Kane's yacht was boarded. He'd been running a murder-for-hire racket, with Evelyn picking targets for prime real estate. 7 deaths, millions laundered, all tied to her HOA schemes. Evelyn got 20 years for conspiracy, fraud, racketeering. Kane got life, his yacht full of evidence drugs, records, the works. Crescent Cove changed after that. Maria took over the HOA, voided every fine Evelyn ever wrote, and turned the office into a community hub. Families came back, the Wilsons, the Kims, others who'd been driven out. I stayed in Tom's house, still fishing, still consulting for the Coast Guard when they need my boat's tricks. But it's the quiet moments that hit hardest. Kids playing on the beach Evelyn wanted to privatize, neighbors sharing meals where she planned condos. Tom's death wasn't an accident, but it broke open a conspiracy that saved a community. I think about Evelyn sometimes, how she saw a guy in work boots and thought nobody. She didn't know I'd spent years in naval intelligence, that my boat was a cover for investigating coastal scams, that Tom had picked me to carry his fight. Appearances fool us all, don't they? You ever been judged by how you look, where you live, what you drive? Drop it in the comment swats, the worst assumption someone's made about you. Did you set them straight, or let it slide? And if you've got an HOA story that'd make my blood boil, I want to hear it. Hit that like button if you're all about seeing bullies get what's coming, and subscribe so we can keep shining a light on stories like this, because sometimes all it takes is one person to stand up and say, "Not on my dock."